The Raptors in the middle of their fourth quarter against the Brooklyn Nets, but I have really had enough. So we're ending it there, and we're going to go right into the post-game show because this was another nightmare performance by the Raptors. Let's talk about it. So the Raptors currently down 96-74. As this post-game show progresses, you will see this scoreline change. As you see, it's now 96-75. Players to the line likely, but I am done watching this game. This Raptors team has shown, you know what? I'll give them credit. A little bit of heart in that third quarter. They win the third quarter, and you know what? They won the second quarter as well, but the first quarter was just so bad that they're in this hole. And personally, as somebody who works a 9-to-5 job, and then also on top of that, does the YouTube videos that you guys watch on amateur sports, amateur clips, all that stuff, working like 10-hour days plus, I could use this extra half hour here, and this team has not really shown a ton of hope in getting back into this game. But you know what? It's been better. You'll win the next two quarters, and after the disaster of the first quarter, that's all I could really ask for as a viewer here. However, you have to acknowledge that once again, you've given up 40 points in the first quarter of a basketball game. They did it against the Pelicans. They've done it now tonight against the Brooklyn Nets. It was 41-17 after the first quarter. So in the Pelicans game, you still score like a good amount of points. Your offense like genuinely was still fine in that game. You score 108 points against the New Orleans Pelicans. You know what? A Raptors team that thrives off of extra possessions, that thrives off of offensive rebounding, forcing turnovers, and committing very minimal amounts of turnovers. You kind of took that from the team. It was some sort of positive at the very least about that game. You just give up 126 and lose the game. Tonight, 17 first quarter points, 41 allowed. Everything went wrong in that first quarter. In fact, so much went wrong that I can't even properly sort of critique that first quarter. I can't give you like a full sort of analysis of what happened because it was so bad that you can't even contextualize it with words, really, how abhorrently awful it was by the Raptors. I'm going to do my best here. So, you start with the first quarter, of course. Brooklyn just played with us because Nick Nurse goes in the starting lineup. He goes with Van Vliet, Anunoby, Barnes, Siakam, and Koloko as the guy at the center. So, they start with Claxton. Claxton's been playing pretty well this season, so you want to go with a bigger guy against him. Understandable. Personally, maybe Thaddeus Center-Wanch or Hernan Gomez would have been a little bit better, and it showed, but I don't disagree with the thought process going with that. But it was very clear from the jump that Brooklyn were trying to expose the lack of mobility that he had, and were just moving the ball around the perimeter, generating tons of open looks. Now, did they shoot out of their mind? Yes, but they had a ton of wide open looks at the rim and from three. They start 5 for 5 from three. Joe Harris gets 3 wide open threes and hits all of them. And I get Joe Harris isn't having that good of a season, but this is Joe fucking Harris. We know he can shoot threes. We don't leave him open, especially after he hits one. The second time, you probably, worry about him more. But not only that, when he hits 2, then you really go, all right, Jumbo Joe. No more of those 3-pointers, but alas, he does get another one. Nonetheless, the Brooklyn Nets come out to that hot start. Koloko, I think, was part of the problem amongst maybe some other pieces from the Raptors who weren't playing so well on defense. And 4.5 minutes in, Nick Nurse calls a timeout. I think he called the timeout too late, as per usual. However, at least he calls a timeout, and I'm thinking, okay, disaster start just like 2 days ago against the Pelicans. Let's make the switches. Let's change the style. Let's change the lineup. Get back in this game. Nurse calls a timeout, but then just leaves everybody out there. And the problem only just gets worse from that point because the things that were going wrong continue to go wrong with the same lineup out. They keep exposing us. They jump out to a 32-10 lead. And finally, 32-10 Brooklyn in the first quarter. 7 minutes into the game, finally, Nick Nurse decides, okay, you know what? Maybe we should make some subs here. We're down 22 in the first quarter. I think it's time now that we make some changes and sub some different guys in. So we got to that point. It looked better for like 2 minutes. Brooklyn really just took over from, like, they were just still in command from that point. Already taking over the game. Guys were hitting shots. They were just going out of their mind on offense. After, like, it was 9 minutes into the game. The Raptors were shooting 12%. Brooklyn were shooting 82% or so, or 80%, something like that. It took the Raptors 9 minutes to hit their first two-pointer of this game. The Raptors' first 2 field goals in the first 9 minutes were both three-pointers. So, you hit 2 of those. However, no 2-point field goal until 9 minutes into the game. That's a problem. And it's really tough to recover from that point. 41-17. You win the second quarter by 1 point. You win the third quarter by 3 points. You can't afford to put yourself in a hole like that. Siakam, like, he's looked like okay today, but defensively as a whole, this team, like the offensive numbers, goddamn, they're bad, but they're not like severely horrible. Going to individual stat lines here. We're in the fourth. There's 10 to go. Things could change, but Siakam right now is 4 for 10, 18 points. He's a minus 17, 9 for 9 from the free throw line. That's not horrible. Scottie Barnes, who has been struggling. You know what? We get an almost 50% stat line, which he's only done 5 times this season. Yes, Scottie Barnes has only shot 50% or more 5 times so far this season. Doesn't look like he's going to do it today. 15 points, 9 rebounds. Only 1 assist, but hey, 9 rebounds, 15 points. Cool. He has 7 turnovers. Baby steps, because he's just been bad and we need better. 7? And a lot of them are just errant passes to nobody, getting his pocket picked for no reason, out of nowhere. Like 7? Going to the bench, Thaddeus Young gets 4 minutes. You have to explain to me why, because I don't think he's been that bad. I think he deserves more. I think he should have started. Gary Trent falls back down from that impressive game against New Orleans. Juancho continues to impress me. 16 minutes, only a -4 in a game you're down by now 23 points. I would start to lean on Juancho. In fact, I spoke about in my previous video on my main channel, Amateur Sports, this channel right here. Go with Juancho and Thad in the starting lineup again. It worked on Monday. Juancho has played winning basketball, as has Thaddeus Young. Scottie Barnes has not. Gary Trent has not. We're trying to win basketball games. And you will have to do some convincing to get me to believe that if we started Siakam, Van Vliet, Anunoby, Juancho, and Thad today, that we would be in this position. You'd have to do some convincing to me. Now, granted, Fred Van Vliet for the second game in a row can't hit a jump shot to save his life. He's minus 23 for 12, over 5 from 3. Fred went like 80 games in a row hitting a 3 before like 2 weeks ago, and then he didn't hit a 3 last game against Pelicans, and it doesn't appear as though he will be hitting a 3-pointer tonight. He's over 5. I mean, yeah, I defend Fred, but man, he's got to step up as well. A lot of guys need to step up for this team. You go to the team stats, and Brooklyn, you know what? They've come back down to earth a little bit. It was at 80% at one point here. And you know what? The Raptors rebounding battle, we've all of a sudden taken the lead. Turnover battle, we've also taken the lead. The damage has been done, as I was mentioning earlier. You put yourself in such a hole. And, you know, even with the rebound battle going in your favor, the turnover battle going in your favor, your defense has been that bad tonight that the Raptors offense can't make up for it yet again. Our half-court offense is bad. It relies on too much isolation from guys not named Pascal Siakam. The ball movement hasn't been good enough. And we need to find better schemes to use offensively because, to be honest, Siakam is by far and away your best player, and by an even wider margin, your best isolation player. Start giving this guy like Giannis sort of usage almost, because it's very clear that good things happen when the ball is in his hands. And for other guys, they just don't have the ability to generate those isolation sort of buckets. So I'd lean even heavier onto Pascal Siakam for your offensive load because the half-court offense has been really bad for the Raptors. Now, fundamentally speaking, Nick Nurse needs to find a way to get more out of the offense. This guy, Trevor Gleason, needs to find a way to get more out of this Raptors offense in the half-court because, listen, if it's a game where you're not just dominating the possession battle, you can't just roll over like this, like you did against the Pelicans and like you did tonight against the Brooklyn Nets. You have to find a way to continue to affect games when the rebound battle is even, the possession battle is even. And right now, we're just not getting that out of this team. So it's been 2 ugly losses in a row. Now, what sort of panic should there be about the overall team and roster here? Evidently, this team is missing a piece. Every team in the NBA is missing a piece. So this team could get something else for sure. But realistically, with this team right now, this is a good team. 2 bad losses, these things, yes, they happen. Last season, the Raptors were 14-17 at one point before winning a total of 48 games in the season. We were going to be, 11-11 after this one. Fred hit a 3. There you go. After this game, you're going to be 11-11. Considering the injuries we had, that's not that bad. There is so much game to go here. You're just over a quarter of the way into the season. So much basketball left to play. This team is dangerous when it's healthy, but you really need to lean on specific guys. You need to stop with the inefficient shots. You need to stop just allowing inefficiency to happen. OG, ISOs in mid-range. I love OG, but get to the rim or shoot threes. You got to have these hard sort of conversations with guys. Fred VanVleet, he's got to figure his shit out. Scottie Barnes has got to figure out how to play winning basketball and stop giving the ball to the other team. Gary Trent's got to figure out how to play defense, as do a lot of guys. But this is a good team with talented players. Disaster 2 games. You get the Orlando Magic tomorrow. That's a very winnable game where you can go and bust out of this slump. But if you come out like this against Orlando, like you did against New Orleans, Brooklyn, Orlando's going to blow you out as well. So fix up, have some tough conversations, and get your fucking shit together. If you enjoyed it, make sure you drop a like. Harsh words. Hopefully you still enjoy what I had to say. Make sure you've dropped a like and consider subscribing for more Raptors content just like this. And join our watch party tomorrow. Game is at 8 p.m. I'm going live at 7:30 p.m. on the Amateur Hour Sports YouTube channel. So easy. Just type in Amateur Hour Sports in your search bar and it will pop up. I promise. Take care, everybody. We'll talk later. And let's get a win tomorrow.